Good morning. May 11th, one day after Mother's Day. And we have our first one to chime in. Wendy Chadwick, you get the prize. Ding, ding, ding. Keith and Carr, good to see you this morning. Welcome, everybody. Kim, welcome. Janisa. Claudia, happy Monday to everybody. There's my mom. Welcome this morning. Good morning to everybody. Sherry Silva, good morning. So good to see everybody this morning, and appreciate your faithfulness. Steve, Lori, good morning. Yeah, what a great day yesterday. I hope that you enjoyed your day. Sundays have become a kind of an interesting experience for me because of the fact that my Sunday is like, I suppose, a normal churchgoer's experience, where you wake up and maybe you do some work in the yard or work out or just have a breakfast or a leisurely morning, and then you go to church and you experience God's presence. Except for the fact that we don't get to see each other. My normal Sundays are very long and like game on, starting early, but I've just the last lots of weeks I go to church like you go to church. I have a morning routine, and then at 10:30 I sit down with my cup of coffee and watch the live stream, and so it's been an interesting time. So I've actually really enjoyed that aspect of it, but I really want to get back to meeting together. So I hope your day was good. Debbie King, good to see you. Carmen, good to see you. Tiffany, good morning. Tiffany, your kids I loved your kids and what they said in the kids video yesterday. And Joe probably showed you the whole video. I mean, I had to edit it down. There's like no end to their desire to talk about you and what they appreciate you. They even had a song that I loved it. It was such a joy making that kids video yesterday. I hope you all enjoyed that. And one downside to that, in the multitasking life experience that I have right now in trying to do all this video production, that I'm not really equipped to. I mean, I have the skills, but I'm not equipped to do it in the manner we're doing it. So I'm not as organized, I guess, as someone who's doing this kind of stuff regularly. I'm learning, but I'm learning trial and error. So let me give you a little behind the scenes. So I'm putting together this kids video, and people are sending me from all different sources their videos, and we're doing it all clandestinely, right? So either the grandparents or the dads, or so that trying to do it so the moms are unaware of what's happening, so it'd be a big surprise. And so these videos are coming to me in various forms, and I'm flagging them all and putting them in a folder, so when they all get there, I edit the whole thing. Well, the problem with this, because I don't do this regularly, I thought I had everything great and all the videos in place, and I left out one video, one of the children, and I was so, when the dad emailed me last night and said, "Hey, did you not get my video that I sent you?" And apparently their daughter just was heartbroken that she wasn't in the video, and I just, my heart sank. You want what's best for everybody and do this special thing, but you can't. You just can't get around being human. And I just, my heart broke. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna re-edit just the kids video and release it on Facebook with the inclusion of the one child that I missed. And I know do-overs aren't really totally possible, but in this case, if you see that up on YouTube or on Facebook today, give it a watch, because there's going to be an extra kid in there, and comment on it. I guess that might help with that if that child sees it. I'm going to let them know I'm doing this, that they were included. So anyway, I'm going to try to do a do-over and hopefully produce a product that actually includes everybody who wanted to participate. Good morning, everybody. I'm just welcoming people. I hope you had a good Mom's Day yesterday. Mark Fine, good morning. And yeah, Monday morning. So we're in Psalm 71 this morning. I know the sun is kind of blaring on me from this side, so my camera has a hard time with these contrasting light sources. I'm not really sure what to do about that. It'll change throughout, so you will just have to deal with it. So Psalm 71. I'm just going to look at a couple of verses, make a couple of comments this morning, just the nature of our devotional time together, hopefully are encouraging. I'm going to look at verse 17 and 18. Psalm 71, verse 17 and 18. I'm going to read this here, beginning with verse 17. O God, from my youth you have taught me, and I still proclaim your wondrous deeds. So even to old age and gray hairs, O God, do not forsake me, until I proclaim your might to another generation, your power to all those to come. Good morning, Sierra. Good to see you this morning. So I love this verse. It has spoken to me so much in life, that the psalmist here is writing from the perspective of someone who has gray hair. They've lived a long life, and they have known God from their youth. In fact, if you looked earlier in the psalm, if you've read this one this morning, he has already said, upon you I have leaned from before my birth. You are he who took me from my mother's womb. My praise is continually of you. So I'm not sure how a baby would lean on God from the womb, from inside the womb. So he must be obviously acknowledging that even when I was in my most vulnerable place, this is my interpretation, my most vulnerable place where I had literally no way of caring for myself, God, I was dependent on you. You were the one who sustained my life even in my mother's womb. I mean, we know, we don't think about it nowadays, but back then the birth process was definitely not guaranteed to be a success. In fact, there were so many children that died in childbirth because of the stresses of the delivery, and there were many moms who died in childbirth. And it was a risky proposition to have kids, but it was so important, obviously, to have children and they have the joy. So the psalmist was looking back even in his mother's womb and saying, man, God, you took care of me. I don't have to be here today. I don't have to be enjoying the gray hairs on my head and all the life experiences I've had. So even from my mother's womb, I have leaned upon you. And then he says, from my youth, I have known you. I've seen you at work in my life. We don't know who's writing this psalm. We don't know if it's David or somebody else. But if it is David, we see that even in David's youth as a young shepherd, how he attributed his success as a shepherd to God, giving him power and strength. I love the kids' Zoom that we're doing on Sunday morning, and walking through Psalm 23 and how, the relationship of a shepherd and a sheep, and how Debbie's curriculum really brings out so many nuances of that and of the experience of a shepherd and a sheep, and how that correlates with our relationship with God. And so really thankful for that, and the teachers that are all being a part of that. Great lessons for life, even as an adult, even though it's done with puppets. I love it. Very entertaining. So from his youth, the psalmist is saying, you have been my God. I've leaned upon you. You've delivered me from all kinds of calamities. And here I am in old age, and I'm still trusting in you. I still have stuff that goes wrong in my life, things that I'm like, okay, here we are, and I'm trying to figure out how to get through this next trial, this next test, this next challenge or barrier to my success. And I'm going to do that just as I did from my youth, trusting in God. Here's what he says about God. Your righteousness, O God, reaches to the high heavens. You who have done great things, O God, who is like you? And he acknowledges the sovereignty of God. Wow, it's really getting bright here, isn't it? It's going, oh, it's the Bible. It's like reflecting on my face. Sorry, I have ADD or something. I can't help but be distracted. He says, you have made me see many troubles and calamities and will revive me again. So the psalmist is saying, God, I've been here before. This is not the first time I've seen trouble, not the first time I've seen calamities. You have seen me through every single one of them in various ways. And again, if this is David writing, we don't know. I'll just use him as an example. We know that David went through not only a lot of calamities, a lot of trials, but it didn't appear like he was delivered from them all. He experienced loss. He experienced defeat at times. He experienced lots of painful things in his life, just like we would all experience. And yet, I think what he's primarily, the psalmist here is primarily saying, in those types of experiences of life, God has never forsaken him. God has always been there, always been the rock of refuge. Even if the outcome didn't result in what we would say, God just protected me from it all. Like I didn't experience calamity and I didn't experience failure or heartbreak in some way. We know this is just a common to us all. We all experience this. And the psalmist is saying, from my youth to what I have now as gray hairs, you have been my God. I've leaned upon you. You have been with me all of this time. And now I'm in another place where I'm like, okay, I'm experiencing another calamity, even in my old age, another trial. I am going to look to you again because you've never steered me wrong. You've always been there for me. Even if the outcome has been painful, you've always been my God. And so I love this perspective because for a number of reasons. One is I think that in our culture where we celebrate youthfulness and we try to stay looking as youthful as long as possible, and we see the strength of youth and we celebrate that strength, and when we pass to a retirement age or beyond, we see the viability of our lives as kind of being on a decline at that point. And I have always felt, thankfully from lots of things I've read and really important people in my life, that those who have gone before me, who have walked for a long time in the same direction, right? They've not varied to the right or the left. They've not given up on their journey of growth and seeking the Lord. They just keep, those people that we all know in our life who just keep consistently walking with God. I see the tremendous value and the increased value of those, each of those people, and I gravitate toward those. I want to glean from them. I have all my life. I'm so grateful. I don't know if it's people who encouraged me in this way or if it was kind of innate in me. I have no idea. But all of my life, I have benefited from pursuing people, men or women, who have walked the path of God longer than me, or who have had success or experiences in life that I have not yet had. And I've had relationship with them and learned from them and grown from them. And so I want to say how, let's talk about that person who has the gray hair, who represents someone who has walked in the same direction for a consistent long period of time. First of all, the value of that lived life. The psalmist says, I've faced a lot of calamities, God, and you've been with me. I want to learn from that person who has experienced a lot of calamities, more calamities than I've experienced, so that when I get to that spot, I might have some wisdom to know how I ought to respond. And so it's so absolutely valuable. So I'll just say, first of all, it's always been important to me to have in my life people who have had experiences that I have yet to experience, and to can speak into my life, and I'm so very grateful for that. And here's I'm going to kind of shotgun here a little bit. Um, there are those who have been in that place in my life who have been more helpful to me, and those who have been less helpful to me. And that's helped me as well to know, because the psalmist is saying, I'm going to tell it to the next generation. So he's thinking very purposefully about, I want my life to be effectively lived by faith so that I can tell the next generation. And so when I think about that, I think, okay, what was so effective about this person in my life so that I can emulate that for the next generation, that when I look to people whom I want to be a source of encouragement for. I'm 52, and I've lived 52 years. I hopefully have filled my 52 years with consistent, faithful service to God. I've seen my share of grief and pain and challenges, and had to overcome all the normal things that someone at 52 would have done by now. So there's certainly opportunity for me to invest in other people, even as I look toward people who are ahead of me in the race of life, who I can glean from. So what are some of the things that have been helpful to me? And I'm not going to tell you specific things, but as much as a couple of things that made my relationship with people really profitable or less profitable. And here's the first one. The people that made me, that invested in me, that were more profitable to me, are people that were good listeners. They could listen to me and somehow guard against offering premature or unsolicited advice. This is really hard for us, especially if we've gained some experience in our life and we see someone who is experiencing something that we have experienced before, and we identify with that. And so sometimes we are so quick to offer advice. So I think that there's some wisdom in just listening to that person, and because you can identify at some level, identifying with what they're going through, not just providing a solution, not providing, well, this is what I would do, or, oh, I've been there, let me tell you my story. So people unwittingly thinking that we're helpful. And I say, people, I do this. I have to guard against this. Someone says their story, what they're going through, that triggers a memory for you. Oh, I've gone through that same thing. Instead of just listening and empathizing, we shift right into the gear of, let me tell you my story, thinking that that's the most helpful way. It isn't, in my experience. I'm just getting my feelings out to someone and talking to someone, and they shoot right into their story, and it just kind of refocuses the attention on them, and it didn't feel as helpful to me. I mean, I enjoyed hearing their story, and there was benefit to that, but it didn't feel totally helpful at times. So the first thing I would say is, be a good listener. Listen. Let that person, and ask a part of being a good listener is asking good follow-up questions. Like, wow, how did that make you feel when you experienced that? When they're telling their story to you, how did that make you feel? I would have felt so challenged by that, or disappointed, or, oh, that would have made me angry. How did you deal with that? Drawing out more information versus you just wanting to spill your story or offer advice or whatever. So be slow to offer advice and really quick to listen is a really, really great skill of people that I have looked to, that I've just really gleaned a lot from. We glean a lot from you, more than you know. You don't always have to have the wise thing to say. In fact, it's a really good tempering skill of someone to listen with and reject the pressure that you might be feeling to say something really wise. I feel this all the time. I'm a pastor. People come to me for counsel. they come to me to tell what's happening in their life. It's particularly something really difficult, and I have to resist the pressure to say something really wise, to say something that's just going to be that thing that, oh, Pastor Mark, thank you, that was so helpful to me. Well, sometimes that's the way it goes, but that doesn't have to be the way it is all the time. Again, practicing good listening and guide them in their story versus you just kind of overlapping your story on theirs and try to offer some wise counsel. I think sometimes that's just an insecurity in me to feel like I feel not insecure, but I feel uncomfortable, like I have to fix something. I have to help them, and I can't help them unless I have some great solution. So for me, I have to resist the temptation to say something really wise. If I don't have something really wise, it's far better just to keep listening and just to draw them out in their story. So it's kind of a robust first point I wanted to make, is that to be a really good listener. It's a finely honed skill that I keep trying to hone all my life, to just be a good listener. And that's one trait of someone who's always spoken into my life really well. Of the people that I've sought after, they are really good listeners. The second thing I would say about someone who's more experienced than me, that I'm trying to glean things from, those who were more influential in my life, didn't make me feel inferior just because I was younger. Have you experienced that? Where you're honestly trying to glean something from somebody, but they're like, oh yeah, I remember when I was your age, or you're saying, I'm struggling with this part of my life right now at 52, and I'm feeling the pressures of being 52, and then I'm talking to someone who's 72, like, oh, 52, you're a pup, like, really, I feel like you just minimized my life experience. So resist. I think another thing this is what I'm learning as I pass on to someone who is seeking me, is I try not to make them feel like I'm talking down to them for some reason, or because they haven't lived or had the same experience as me, or not as many years as me, that somehow just my age alone, I want them to know that they're younger, and that's good for you. Pat them on the back, and when you feel a little condescended to by someone who's older, it's like, I have to kind of work through that to really hear the wisdom that's going to come from you. So being a good listener and not feeling like you make someone who is younger just feel inferior in some way, just because they're younger, So those whom I've sought out, who have gray hairs, who have walked a long time in the same direction, who I really want to glean stuff from, these are a couple of characteristics that were so meaningful to me and more beneficial to me, is that they're good listeners, and they didn't make me feel any less. They almost made me feel like a peer. And I've had some really, really good mentors that was one of the biggest differences in my relationship with them. I had to work through less in hearing from them because of how they were, packaging whatever they were telling me. I had to kind of work through some of those things. The ones that were really good were just really good listeners, and they made me feel valued by not making, they're not clearly defining our relationship like this. So Matthew's commenting, basically not being El Jefe toward us. So El Jefe is this hat that my niece got me, which means the boss. It's an inside joke between Brittany and I, but I always feel a little weird wearing it because I don't feel like I'm the boss of people. Anyway, Matthew, you're creating a more red balls for me to chase in my ADD distraction. So I just want to say this as we kind of wrap up today. I love Psalms like this because it values someone who has gray hair. It brings a tremendous amount of value to someone who has lived life. So as we get into those stages of life, our value does not diminish. Like in our culture, sometimes it feels like that. Our value does not diminish, it actually increases because we have seen lots of life. We have experienced lots of things, and we can share that with the generation that follows. And if you are younger, we can also glean from that by being intentional about acquiring those relationships with people who have walked the path ahead of us and making them feel valued. There was one other thing I wanted to say before we closed about relationships that I felt were successful as I sought out older people. And it's gone. It was really important too. It would have been that word of wisdom that you would have walked away like, that's it. That's the thing. And it's gone. Is that a product of also being older? Okay, anyway, I'm hoping that this is what God had for us today. And I hope you're blessed by this. Read all of Psalm 71. It's such a blessing. And someone who has lived a life and he just keeps seeking God. Keep seeking God. It's a great psalm. And I'm praying for you today and appreciate your being here each and every day. And hope that you are blessed in your seeking out of God in a unique way today. Lord bless you guys.